and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our category 1 riders. In green, our category 2. In blue, category 3, and category 4 in red.
Marcos Brito is the rider, kicking off the front at the moment, just stretching his legs on the flatlands, knowing for a fact, well, it's airtime.
He was really strong in 2. He's moved to category 1, and you know what? He's taken it to him. I'm absolutely loving this. Good stuff. Kudos to Ruben.
Well, indeed, and you know what? Let's mix it up. Let's mix up category 1 because no one was expecting that. Ruben Dodds, what a flyer off the start. Hey, he's at 5 kilometres into this course. He's got 500 metres till the Hollywood climb. Is he giving himself a bit of wiggle room on the climb because of the class of the race field, or is this an early attack as he goes through the amusement park?
Kaminsky continues to push 8 watts per kilo, so he's now eliciting a response from Michael Knudsen at 10 watts per kilo. They're on the way into the sprint, and there is no respite today.
At the top of the previous climb, 17 riders went over the top in the lead on the category 3 race. I think 1 or 2 may have been dropped since then, but it's still a huge group.
5 breakaway leaders are continuing to push on. They are some 40 plus seconds, 45 seconds it's averaging out at the moment from the group behind. 41.6k and 42.6k on our screens, indicating there is 1 kilometre from Calman to Allport. The leader of category 3 chasing the leader of category 4.
Can he be the king of Hollywood today? That's the UCI banner. He's Allported his way to the finish line. Your winner today, Luke Allport in category 4.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام، متابعينا في كل مكان، أهلا وسهلا بكم مع الانطلاقات الأربعة والفئات الأربعة. الفئة باللون الأحمر، الفئة الرابعة والفئة الثالثة بالأزرق، والفئة الثانية باللون الأخضر، والأولى باللون الأصفر.
السباق سريع منذ بدايته، السرعة 45 كيلومتر في الساعة تصل إلى 51 كيلومتر في الساعة في هذه المنطقة. نعم، يضغط تروستن هولز وماركوس بريتو.
يا له من فيو رائع، نعم فيو رائع للكوكب كما نشاهد الآن. صورة مميزة الآن. لوك ألبورت، بن كيرك، أليكس ويست، أداء ممتاز الآن للكوكبة في الأمام. لوك ألبورت، مستر إكساندرت يعاود الكرة، نعم يحاول مرة أخرى. هنا البطل الإماراتي، وأمام هذا المكان الشهير، نعم مع جبل هوليوود في الصورة، البطل الإماراتي. الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية هنا لأول مرة يختبر نفسه على هذا المكان، على هذا المرتفع، على هذا المسار الجديد. هنا ولاية كاليفورنيا مع مستر إكساندرت الإماراتي.
ميتشيك من جديد ويضغط ويعود مستر إكساندرت ويرد عليه أيضا من جديد، وخلفهم بيتر ميلوستيك. الآن اللاعبين في المقدمة، محاولة ميتشيك وبيتر ميلوستيك واللاعب مستر إكساندرت. وأتاك صاحب القميص المنقط في هذه اللحظات يبتعد عن الكوكبة. الرد سعيد صفرزادة، يرد رد من قبل سعيد صفرزادة.
ولوك ألبورت إلى المركز الأول كما ذكرنا، هو قادر على الفوز في هذا اليوم بما توافقت عليه كل الآراء، لأن هذا المكان شبيه بولونغونغ. ولوك ألبورت
Hey up, it's Sunday Race Club here on MyWhoosh. You can tell I've been in Yorkshire for the crit racing, can't you? I better not do that voice too long. Hi, it's Matt Payne here. We are here ready for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club by me, that's me, Matt Payne, and a hysterical Emma Martin who cannot quite believe how I opened the show for a final.
No, I can't, to be really honest, but it is great to be here. And whilst Matt might be stuck in Yorkshire, well, I am not in Yorkshire at all, because today, the Sunday Race Club for the June final. Well, we're heading to Arabia. So the men head to Arabia, 45 kilometres of racing, 997 metres of climbing. They're going to the Jebel. take a look at that. Our little rider has just climbed the climb that ends the course. So 5 sprints along the way, 5 300-meter sprints on the first section, and then we get to the aquarium climb at 23.7 kilometers. It's 3.3 kilometers long with an average gradient of 3%. It's a nice little warm-up, and we will see attacks predictions really early us today. So the attacks on the aquarium climb, then they drop down and they transition very quickly at 31 kilometers into the Jebel. Now, 13.5 kilometers. Average gradient, 6%. It is indeed a hot category climb, and 763 meters of climbing in total, just 200 meters outside of the 2 climbs. So it is a long section in and a phenomenal climb. Who are we going to see take the win today?
Well, it could well be that our team tactics influence where our individual winner comes from, because today it's our finals, and that means our team competition is going to take its toll or play its part, depending on how you look at it. Now, we're going to run through the riders in each team after we get our riders up and away. So we have the Level Cafe Colombia squad with Colombian and Filipino riders in there. Level Up Racing, represented in Australia, New Zealand, and Colombia and Sweden. Real multinational mix up there. The Mighty Ducks, again, multinational, New Zealand, Brazil, Philippines, and Australia. We've got the Anzacs, the Power and Upcycled, in here as well. They are going to be mixing it up. The Anzacs, obviously, Antipodean, as you would expect. The rest, all multi-nation. It is a mixed cast, a mixed star race that's going to take to the racing here today. It's Category 4, the first category to get us underway here on the finals in June. And off they go. So this could be a frantic start. This is Category 4, known for the attacks, known for the riders going and putting in an early move.
Well, there are indeed 41 riders on the start sheets today in Category 1, 8 teams amongst them. So looking really strong.
And just watching Luke Allport on the front of the race at the moment in that pack. We're going to keep an eye on our riders at the moment. Just watch for those early moves and whether anybody goes off and Allport's away off the front. But let's take a quick run through the team. So, Level Cafe Colombia, Carcajal, Ochoa, Gomez, Zimal, and Cadapona. Cadapona always strong when it comes to the climbs. Level Up Racing, Ben Kirk, Justin Roy, Luke Allport, Mateo Pinto, and Ola Warren. Real strong squad.
Is indeed a really strong squad. And Kirk, Roy, Allport, and Pino have all had top 5s this month. Allport taking the win last week. So, well, he is a man on form. They were in California last week. A bit of a different type of course. So, the Jebel Yace, it's going to be a long climb at the end. Can he hold it? Is somebody else going to pick it up instead?
Could be one of our Mighty Ducks team. Alex West. We've got Edelson Casagrande, Johnson Kutab, Jonathan Cridland, and Marcus Calvajo.
Well, the Mighty Ducks took the win last month in the May final on the Paso Alto from the Anzacs. It was just 54 seconds separating the two teams. The Mighty Ducks finished in 1st, in 6th, and in 13th. The Anzacs 2nd, 5th, and 8th. That tells you how close the racing was in Category 4 last month.
The Spinergy squad are represented by Cameron Dadson. We've got Diego Gomez, Diego Navarro, Robert Cronje, and Scott Francis. Real mix of riders. Watch out for Cronje and Francis, I think, on here. Francis on your screens at the moment, just nicely keeping the pace high, making sure everybody stays on his wheel. Team Fortuna, well, they're represented by Franklin Almeida, and we've got Jairo Calderon, Juan Esteban Santa Maria, and Marcus Brito, who we saw on the earlier shots there, taking it to the riders in our previous races. Joshua Callangad is on our screens. He is racing for the Power Squad with Philippe Marin, Jacques Rusinek, Jeff Rooney, as well as Torsten Holtz.
That could be a good squad, you know, Matt.
The Power.
Yeah, could indeed be a really good squad, and could indeed, I think, take it to the Mighty Ducks and the Anzacs and Level Up Racing.
Well, you mentioned the Anzacs there. Alexander Fielder, Brett McMurtry, Mark Dasson, Mikkel van Heinigen, and Tim Connell.
Yes, and Van Heinigen had second this month, Connell third. But we know Fielder, McMurtry and Dadson are always there or thereabouts in the top 10.
And Jack Rusinek of the power score that we were just talking about on your screens at the moment in his familiar room there with the kit in the background. Now, one team we haven't yet mentioned, the upcycled squad. Adriana Zanaska, Florian Dromard, Ian Lloyd, Robert Edwards and Xavier Maillard. Strong squad there.
Yeah, it is indeed. You know, Maillard, Edwards, Lloyd, Dromard and Zanaska. None of them are riders that we wouldn't expect to see with a top 10 position.
And Ian Lloyd, just on our screens at the moment, you see nicely tucked into the front of this group in the draft. As riders are starting to get distance with the pace that's been put in at the moment, just hitting 2.5 kilometres. We need to mention Bouhamet running for the United Arab Emirates, not as part of a team, but we had saw in our women's race that not being in a team is not always a disadvantage. You can play your own game, and maybe that's your advantage. Okay, Category 4 done. Let's move to Category 3, and let's get these teams up on screen. We've got the draft team back once again. We've got the gold grabbers here, as well as a huge amount of level racing teams. Basically, we've got the level Avengers, the level racing, and the level racing revolution. I tell you, whoever is in charge of making up the level racing team names is doing a great job.
Yes,
we have the Silver Snatchers, we have the South America squad, we've got the Velocidad Cafetera, and we've got X-Pro, and we've also got a number of individual riders. We've got Cardona, Nogueira, Montoya, De Manuel, Velez, and Galuska as well. But Category 3, getting ready to take to a race start. 5 minutes behind Category 4, 10 minutes ahead of Category 2. Away they go. It's time for our Category 3 riders to get the pedals spinning, to get that power down, and to race their way up and running. And we're just in with Galuska at the moment when those individual riders done a good job, really. I think in Category 3 was strong in form. Moved to 3 now, looking like nicely at home in there. We'll see whether or not he can stay with the likes of Thierry Bersadi and co in here. Shall we run through these riders in the teams, Emma?
Yeah.
Who's in where?
Well, let me just give you an update, Matt. This is our biggest race field today. 46 riders and 9 teams. Not the largest number of teams, but the largest number of riders.
Okay, and remember, each team can have between 3 and 5 riders. Now, the draft have 4 riders. We've got Daniel Cadiz, David Young, Niall Batty, and Wayne Smith. Cadiz, one of our real regular riders. He's very experienced on the course. Gold grabbers also with 4. Andre Diduch, Nikol Kansara, Oleg Kochikov, and Ryan Giuliano. Strong squad.
It is indeed, and Giuliano always comes good in a final. But Diduch has had a 3rd, Kansara's had a 2nd and a 4th, and Kochikov's had a 5th this month. So for me, they are one that I have noted on my start sheet as real potentials for the team competition.
And that will put them up into the top squad. We're just seeing Thierry Bersadi in here. He's part of the level racing squad. There are full 5 riders in that level racing squad. Andrew Neville Ross, Eric Rimborg, Golden Boy himself, Simon Acker, Stan van Vellingham, along with Thierry Bersadi in level racing.
Yeah, and another squad who... marked a number of squads on here, but Neville Ross coming up, Van Vellingham coming up from Cat 4. Real good, I think, strong riders who have performed really, really strongly at Category 4, moving into Cat 3. Now, the level racing squad, last month in May, the final in Category 3 was so close. They were on the Paso Alto. The gold grabbers took the win from the Silver Snatchers by 3 seconds in the team competition.
Wow.
Level racing finished 3rd, 1 minute 21 seconds back. So this was such a competitive category last month. I'm expecting it to be the same, and I'm expecting Il Pino to be right up there as well. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Francis Il Pino, part of the X-Pro squad. So Camilo Sanchez, Francis Il Pino, Jose Rodriguez, and Juan Martin Mesa. Very, very strong. They could be in the mixed level Avengers. I mean, we've got Roas Devia, we've got Kai Elos, JD Abello, Nicholas Orrego. Orrego, another rider who we know come a final really works well in that. The South American squad, really interesting. Johan Moreno,
Jose Avido, Marvin Angarita, and Paulo Eduardo Kirchner. I think that could be really in the mix. South America, Emma, are they going to be in amongst those top three, do you think?
Kirchner's had a first this month. Oviedo's had a fourth and a fifth. So we have got podium finishers in that squad. Like I said, I think this is going to be really competitive. There's no Mateus Kalman and there's no Nick Squilari today. Two riders who are normally right at the top of Category 3. Kalman progressing to Category 2. So for me, this is really leaving it open and the riders will know that.
And that's why we're seeing these groups all together now. Category 4 on the right-hand side of your screen, just getting into the undulations, heading in and through towards the sprint that comes up. It's going to be the second of our sprints at 6 kilometres covered. Category 3, left-hand side of your screen, just starting to stretch their legs. A little bit of a rise here. Now, Level Racing Revolution was the squad I saw down there, and I thought that was really interesting. We've got Clinton Cirillo, we've got Eben Swart, Nathan Pedersen, Nicholas Hagland, and Sammy Tuomi.
Yeah, it is indeed. And Hagland coming up from Category 4, one of those riders who is progressing because of the form and their ability. You know, Peter Connell and Daniel Valencia have also come up as well. So I'm expecting it's going to be interesting to see how he hangs with this Category 3 pack.
And you mentioned Daniel Valencia. He's part of that Velocidad Cafetera squad with Jamie Velas. We've got Julian Giraldo, Julio Orega, and Rafael Montoya. So going to be interesting to see how they progress. Will any of them go for the sprint like we've just seen Ben Kirk doing Category 4?
Ben Kirk stretching his legs in Category 4 through the sprint section. But the pack still rolling all together in Category 4. The pack rolling together in Category 3 as well. They're coming into that first Abu Dhabi sprint as well.
And we're just starting to see them kick on here. We've got Moreno, we've got Aka in the mix here. Young looks like he's around. Ivo Sure. They're stretching this out. It can be a trigger for an attack. It could be the place where you just keep on going through. But I think we're going to see these guys all sit up here. So, Emma, just go back to where we were. The Velocidad Cafetera team. Valencia's got a phenomenal kick. We see him do that in Category 4, 14 watts per kilo. Is he their star player, do you think, today?
Oh, now that is a question, isn't it? Jamie Velez is really good. Giuliano Orego is good. Rafael Montoya also, we've seen some great performances from him. So another squad. And for me, today, Matt, with this Category 3 pack, it's going to be about how close those three top riders can be.
And we just saw on the screen a quick look there at Taylor Gonsolin. Taylor riding for the Silver Snatchers squad. Are they going to snatch second place today, or will they be battling it out at the top? We've got Esteban Pulgar, Ivo Sure, Peter Connell, and Taylor Gonsolin. Very, very strong riders.
They are indeed very, very strong riders. And I'm just having a little look back in my notes because I think the Silver Snatchers have finished second. They've finished third. And I want to say they have taken the win as well. But I am not sure.
Well, whilst you look, we'll have a little quick check up here on Category 4. Luke Allport trying to do an Allport and take himself off the front, teleporting his way onto the wheels. Captain Ben Kirk doing the same. Jack Rusinek very quickly answering this. And Ola Warren. They are clear up at the front, but soon joined by the rest of these riders. So here we go. The riders over the top, shedding numbers of riders off the back of this group here. Emma, what's the news from the paperwork front?
Well, the news from the paperwork front is that I was correct. I was a bit concerned there as I was going through my notes thinking, I'm sure the Silver Snatchers have taken the win in the team competition. And they did. So they took the win in the team competition in Category 3 on the men's December final.
That's like
ages ago. When they were on the Jebel Hafit.
Oh. That's really interesting because we're on the Jebel Hafit there. We're on the Jebel Yes today. That's going to be very interesting.
Yes.
I'm really interested to see how this goes on.
Well, really they are indeed. Well, at the moment, it's Ola Warren and Justin Roy and Adriano Zanaska, the three riders at the front of this Category 4 race, 8.2 kilometres into this race. They're through the first two sprints. The Leeward Desert Sprint is the next sprint segment. But this small rise at the moment, just shy of 5%, but it's enough to stretch this group. And if you take a look on the bottom left-hand corner, we've got riders now distanced from this Category 4 pack, 8.5 kilometres into this race. And the push is really really on at the front of this pack to try and stretch it.
It is, and you just see Jonathan Cridlin there just tapping out a really
was that a
smooth rhythm.
Smile or a grimace?
I'm not sure, but I'm liking the cascade, the cap look, of strong cap look again. Very good to see. You got a cap come through from your Rays team, I think. Did you not today? I think, or the other day. Very nice cap, multicoloured as well. Really nice. Emma, a fan of a cap. Not as much of a fan as I am, though, but you'll not see me doing commentary with a cap on. If you want to see that, you have to go back to some of the real old videos of me. So we'll see. Emma, do you like a cap, a casket? I know you you wear them occasionally.
I like one for a cafe stop, but I'm not partial to putting one on underneath my helmet.
I do, mostly to stop me from getting rain in my eyes.
Ah, well, there you go.
No one needs rain in their
Whilst
eyes.
Mac is concerned about rain in their eyes,
No
our
rain,
Category 2 riders, there's no rain in these riders' eyes because they are sat ready on the start line.
Well, they might get sweat in their eyes. I think probably more than the rain. The guys from the Otoroa Alliance are going to be taking on the team from Goats, all in capital letters. Greatest of all time. Will they be? We'll find out. The in-out squad are here with the Level Wizards and our ever-present, the Hitman squad. The Hitmen squad are with us week in, week out. Great to see them every time. Now, the UAE clan team, talking about ever-present with legendary riders like Mistakes 100 and SS in there. They're up against the Falcons, the Wattage teams. Well, Wattage Warlocks, Warriors, and Wolves. Wolves? It's Wolves. It's the Wattage Wolves and the What's Up squad here as well. It's a massive cast of riders as we count down to get Category 2 underway. They're going to get a 5-minute head start on Category 1. It's time for our riders to head out. We're in with Anders Bengston as we kick off from the start. Bengston, one of our real strong riders, and a rider who could well be in that mix of for the prizes. When we get to the end of today's 45-kilometre course, we're going to have to find out if he is going to be the man. Anders Bengston, Emma, member of the Level Wizards.
Yes, team placed in 3rd last month in the final, but really interesting today. This for me, again, Category 3 has the largest number of individual riders. Category 2 has the largest number of teams. So 11 teams on the start sheet today, 43 riders in Category 2. And this is going to be a cracking team competition. So last time out, it was the Goats who took the win. Bert Kane, we know, has been riding well. Bjarhead's had a 2nd and a 5th. Khan Kane is always there about. Lyndon Millerstick, phenomenal climbing, and in fact took the win on this course for Category 2 last time we were here. And his dad, Peter, has had a 1st, a 2nd and a 5th.
And there you can see on your screen, Peter Milostic of the Goats are already kicking out there. Benson's teammates, just give them a quick name check for the Level Wizards. We've got Shirsail, Betty, Simon Walter and Tatu Koistonen.
All of which who have had a top 5 this month.
Absolute flying riders. We know they're on form. Now, Phil Graves is in here for the Hitmen. We've got Jace Krasnich, we've got Nicholas Spratt, Olivier Simmons, Phil Graves and Ross Fawcett. That is a good team.
It is indeed, and the Hitmen took 2nd place by 1 minute 16 seconds last time out, finishing in 2nd, 3rd and 15th. I think with the addition of Ross Fawcett in there, we know he's going well. He finished 4th last month. And 4th last week, should I say, whilst racing from his camper van on holiday. So what can he do back in his home pain cave? Well, we're going to see today.
Just in with John Brune at the moment of the wattage was Alex Heaney, Henrik Oyer, James Harvey, John Brune and Mark Gates. Brune here nicely in the mix, and he's really answering these attacks. He's staying in the right position here. This could be to the advantage of the wattage Wolves. Get the riders, make sure they're up in position right up there. The Wolves strong squad in this group. Just in with Mohammed El Alami at the moment. Now, he's a member of the Wattage Warlocks. So we have Julien Quintero, Frederic Gombe, Carsten Mayer, Matthias Fanny, and Mohammed El Alami. And again, it's a bit like reading a who's who of riders who shake it up in the racing.
It is indeed, and it pretty much is like that all the way through here. Quintero has a 3rd this month, but You know, there's some real form in here, and I'm loving the fact we've got the Wattage Warlocks, the Wattage Warriors, and the Wattage Wolves.
Yeah, lots of what's coming out from Mohammed Al Lamy. He's just down on our screens on the left-hand side.
Oh,
From
just
the
sorry,
Wattage Warlocks.
one moment. Just take a look at the artwork on
I
the
know,
wall.
that's exactly where I was headed. I was thinking that is a great way to hang medals and your medals up, is actually to hang them off parts of what is a bike frame as part of the artwork on the wall.
It's
Brilliant.
phenomenal bit of artwork.
It is. Now, we mentioned the UAE clan team. This is a team very close to my heart because they are a team who I first commentated on, and they were so strong, and they have been since the word go. Now, they have got with us SS and Mr. X100 at the moment. Mr. X100, the man on your screens for the UAE clan team, he is showing a real rich vein of form. He's really, really coming to the fore. And if you were looking at one rider who instigates the action,
Yes,
Mr. X100 would be them.
he does indeed instigate the action, and he's had a second and a third this month already. I think I'm going to make a prediction. Careful. Woo, 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 woo.
Emma's made a
woo, woo.
prediction in the
Emma's
first
prediction.
however many minutes of the
My
show.
prediction is Mr. X100 is going to go hard today, and he's going to go way before he gets to the Jebel Yais.
Well, we're going to see who is going to make it out of the riders in Category 2. Who's going to make it in Category 1? The big teams, Coalition Alpha Jaw here. They have 5 riders. So do Hardguard. The Honey Stingers, well, they have 4 riders with us today. Will they be able to take it? They're going to be challenged by the Mojo Movers. 4 riders for them. 4 riders for the Spandex Spartans. And the Velociraptors, well, they've got 4 riders as well, with 2 individual riders, Juan Gallo of Colombia and Rakad Al Theme, who again could be in the mix. Al Theme from the UAE. Let's see who's going to take this out.
Well, 28 riders on the start sheets in Category 1. The seconds have ticked down. The green is go. We're in with the Yassin at the moment as the riders come out of the start pen. This is the June final of the Sunday Race Club. They're heading out into Arabia on the Jebel Yais course. This is going to be a great race.
It is. Now we're in with Lionel Vujassin here. He with Arnie Jacobs, David Talbot, Lionel Vujassin, Michael Kaminsky and Ollie Jones. That's the makeup of Coalition Alpha
Yes.
Joy, Emma. Very strong squad.
It is a very strong squad, but they were beaten last month in the finals by the Sweet Potatoes after having had a run of monthly wins. So they are beatable. And one team that I'm looking at this month to see whether they can indeed take the win off Coalition Alpha Joy is Hard to Guard.
The Hard Guard squad of Jason Osborne, Martin Martins, Michael Knudsen, Said Safrazetti and Stefan Van Elst. They are incredibly strong, the Hard Guard team.
They are indeed. So Osborne's had a 5th, Knudsen's had 2 seconds and a 5th, Safrazedy's had a 3rd, a 4th and a 5th this month. So they are indeed on form. Coalition Alpha Jaw, Vujassin's had a 2nd and a 4th. Kaminsky, well, can anybody take this from Kaminsky today? He's had 4 first places in the 4 qualifiers. And take a look at that. He's messaging somebody whilst in the pack.
Yeah, that's
So,
proper multitasking,
It
isn't
is
it?
indeed. And I bet he's messaging the rest of the Alpha Jaw squad. So Jacobs, Vujassin, Kaminsky and Jones. Now, I just want to remind everybody, Ollie Jones, this was the classic Ollie Jones breakaway course back in January. If anybody can remember back, and if you don't, go and take a look. Because in January 2024, in the final, we were on the Jebel Yais, and Ollie Jones broke away early on and took the win.
Well, we'll see if he can do that again. He maybe needs to keep cool with the, I think that was an ice towel around the neck of Kaminsky there. So those are 2 of our teams. Let's have a little look at some of the rest of the teams here. So the Honey Stingers, Hayden Pucker, Jakob Bjorklund, Jasper Paradias and Christoph Kroll. Kroll super strong, Pucker super strong, Bjorklund super strong, and Paradies on some great form.
Well, yes, and Hayden Pucker, one of the newer riders here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, has been riding really, really strongly and setting PBs in the qualifiers since he's taken to the Sunday Race Club and got a new coach.
Excellent, always a good sign. Make sure that your coach is doing the business. If the results come, you know that's working. Now, we've got the Mojo Movers, Christoph Thiem, David Nico, James Barnes, Morris Ritter. Really strong riders. Thiem could well be up here today. Barnes is a potential, I think, on the way through. Could be they're going to be right up in the mix. Going to be interesting to see. Now, a countryman of Stefan van Elst. Stefan van Elst there in the Belgian colours, riding for the Hard to Guard team. Countryman of his, Belgian Ruben Dom, rides for the Spandex Spartans, along with David Dunn, Josh Wilson, and Todd Allen-Young. Don has really been mixing it up, hasn't he?
Well, he has, because he's come up from Category 2. Really prolific winner at Category 2. Moved up to Category 1. Well deserved. And, you know, he was and has been in the mix and really pushing on and pushing hard in Category 1. So fabulous to see him. One of the things I think is really interesting here, we've got a bit of a heat wave going across Europe at the moment, but obviously Josh Wilson, his compatriot and the Spandex Spartans, on the other side of the globe, in Australia, where it is winter.
And that different change in temperature really can mix things up. Now, just in with our Category 2 riders as we make our way in underneath the Silent Dune Sprint. Still a big patch in here. We're just in with a man who is on the far side of the world from the riders in the Northern Hemisphere. Going to be definitely experiencing different temperatures. But at the moment, the heat is on in Category 1 because Michael Kaminsky has decided it's time to wind this up, stretch it out. They haven't hit the sprint, but they have just gone over one of the first rises on the way in through in the early section of the course. Kaminsky using that to start ripping the racing up early, and it looks to me like Kaminsky and the Coalition Alpha Jaw squad are wanting to make things tough. Interesting. Man who's behind him, Stefan van Elst. Hard to Guard squad. Who else is right up there? You're seeing Thiem, you're seeing Dump, you're seeing Plantro. Plantro of the Velociraptor squad with Benitza, Mayer and Nair. That's definitely a team you can't discount. Plantro's been going well. He's not up, though, right in the mix in terms of the points. Or is he? Here we go. Here's the times. They come through. And Mikel Plantero over that Velociraptor squad in second place behind Jason Osborne of Hard to Guard.
Well, Jason Osborne setting the fastest time through that sprint, 18.933 seconds, 1.2 seconds ahead of Plantero. Dont Kirk going strongly in Category 4. Barnes v Yasin. Peterson from Category 3 in 7th place. Kroll, Nitko and Bjorklund rounding out the top 10. The fastest Category 2 rider, Henrik Oya, in 40th position.
So Category 2 in that big bunch were rolling through that sprint at the point. There's no rolling through at the moment. The heat is well and truly on. Good to see Todd Allen-Young right up in the mix here. This front of the group are really pushing left-hand side. Category 1. Somebody's trying to cat in amongst the pigeons there because all of a sudden that move being made there by Kaminsky has shaken the racing up already. Now, right-hand side of your screen, Category 2, just in with Caster Mayer at the moment, the Wattage Warlocks. And you can see the chase behind is coming now. Mr. X100 makes a move over the top here. He's going up. He's going over the top. Henry East, another of our really strong riders riding for the Otero Alliance, along with David Goodall, Matheus Kalman and East. They are a fantastic trio of riders. And it could well be that even though they've only got the 3, it's 3 that can count. And that may well mean they're going to be in the prizes a little bit later on. Could be the What's Up team. One team we haven't mentioned, Carlos Carvajal, David Kolowski, Im Carroll, Martin Cont and Walter Clays. Clays, for me, the pick of the bunch there. But it could be somebody else's week this week.
Well, the bunch pushing on at the moment. They're on this small climb at 8.2 kilometres into this race. And we're in with Carradine right up in the mix here. Push it coming into the climb, being led by X100. But he's back in the pack now because Kalman, Harvey, Graves, Kowalski, McCarroll, all in here pushing on. Gombert is there too. These riders stretching slightly up this climb. But the pack principally all still together.
And interesting to see Carradine in there from the Wattage Warriors with his teammates. You've got really strong riders in here. Che Howeiler, Jakob Bitko, Maciej Mendakowicz, Nicholas Van Haren and Sad Carradine.
Well,
what a group.
It is indeed, but at the moment it's John Brune and Maka Mendakowicz who are on the front. Nicholas Spratt now doing the chasing to bring them back because they've just pushed on the pedals that little bit harder, and well, the pack have had to rally a bit.
What, you wouldn't let Maciej Mendakowicz go off down the road, would you? I mean, he was absolutely flying. We know he's good on selective courses. We know he's really, really strong, Mendakowicz. Has he got a top 5 this? Has he not taken a win in the qualifiers? I'm pretty sure he has.
Well, he has indeed. So Mendakowicz has indeed taken a win this month. It was on the Tel Marib new course.
And there you go, the Tel Marib new course, one of our new courses, and we've got lots of new worlds, of course, here on MyWhoosh as well with California and Hydriat courses, 7 new routes on each of those, and lots of new roads too.
Well, I was going to tell you that he did indeed take that win in qualifier 3 by 0.1 of a second from X100.
That's going to be an interesting battle now. In with Ruben Dunt as we go through the Silent June Sprint. I think that a little bit of a push on because he's aware that we're going to see potentially a little bit of a move behind. The fastest time, 8.166. That is very, very quick time, Torsten Holtz. I suspect that won't survive verification because Ruben Dunt's time, 19.125. That is going to be our fastest time. Spandex Spartans leading that time through. So Dont, Kalman, Abello, Van Haren, Moreno, Clays, Alan Young, and Carradine in here inside the top 10 with Pino. Now, just a Motor Survive verification. We have incredibly strong verification on MyWhoosh, which tests our riders and makes sure that their equipment, and there are no failures. We're not going to say that anybody has deliberately gone out. Verification is a process which makes sure all your equipment is working right and that you know you're getting the right result. You know, there's no good thinking, oh, I can produce 440 watts if your equipment's out, and actually you're only producing 220 watts, for example. It's something that I would love to be able to do. You know, just
not produce 220 watts.
Well, double what my watts are. I'm not going to tell you what watts I can kick out or have done in the past, but because the past is always more than it is now. But yeah, that verification process, it's very, very strong on MyWhoosh, isn't it? And for the Sunday Race Club in particular, and for the World Championships, it will be at the absolutely top level. For the rest of the racing, you don't need that double power source. You don't need to go through quite the same level of verification.
No, so the Sunday Race Club is indeed the premium race on MyWhoosh, and okay, I'm just going to put my brain and my mouth back into gear.
So it's a bonus.
It is indeed, isn't it? And the level of verification that you need to go through, quite rightly, is really strong. So there is, of course, the power passport test that all of our riders do, not just category 1, but category 2, category 3 and category 4. Everybody completes a power passport test and completes a pre-verification form, etc. There is also then a matching of your power outputs historically with your power outputs on the day. You've got a second power source as well that double checks. Also, we've got videos of the riders. There is indeed a room where the riders put their videos in. You do indeed see those on the screen as well, and it is all done to ensure fair and transparent racing.
And all those results that you see on the screens, if you're on mywhoosh.com/results at the moment, they're all provisional at the moment.
Well, if you want to take a look at what that verification is all about and you want to take a look at the information around the Sunday Race Club, head over to mywhoosh.com, click on the events page. You can download and take a look at the technical guide, the rules, the regulations, and the verification information there to see what our riders go through or what you need to go through if you want to join us next week.
And of course, that verification process may well involve you coming in. Michael Kaminsky on our screens, able to put his money where the mouth is. We've seen him in action in person at MyWhoosh, and we know that these results are for real. Great to see them in action. Great to see that our riders can show us exactly what they've got week in, week out here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. And at the moment, they're on that climb. This is one of those lumps and bumps that take them in and through. We're at 8.6k, which means that we're almost halfway between the Silent June Sprint and the Leeward Desert Sprint. This of our
categorized climbs is actually probably the biggest rise and fall on the course of the lot at the moment. And as you can see, we have a real mix of riders on the screen. You've got Kaminsky in here from Coalition Alpha Jaw. You've got Van Elst in here from Hartgard. You've got Bjorklund in here from the Honey Stingers. Christoph Kroll in here also from those Honey Stingers, and Mikael Plantero, the rider riding for the Velociraptor squad in France at the moment. He's just on the right hand side, and interesting who's got the tunes in their ears.
Well, I don't know about who's got the tunes in their ears, but definitely showing us that they are who they say they are, and they can do what they say they can do, and that's exactly what we want to see. And Plantero there, we've just seen him on the screen. He's right here in the mix with Pucker, Theme, Van Elst, Jones, Panizza, Dont, Ritter. They are all in the mix here in this Category 1 pack, about to sweep up onto the back of one of the Category 3 riders. You can see that on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, this large group of yellow jersey-clad riders pushing on at the moment. The blue jersey of the Category 3 rider coming towards them fast.
Yes, coming towards them at warp speed at the moment, because these riders really are ripping it up around the course. They're going to take the right-hand turn into the sprint 10K covered of our 45 kilometers, and underneath the banner for the Liwa Desert Sprint go our riders. Another 300 meters. Remember, the points that these riders get in each sprint, they all add up, and the person who amasses the most points takes away the win in that sprint competition. Now, here on the Sunday Race Club, those points don't make prizes, but they will for the competitions coming up with very shortly, because we do have the GCC Summer Championships coming up for residents and for citizens of the United Arab Emirates. So whilst we have a sprint competition here, you can see Scott Francis taking away top spot in Category 4 and Johan Moreno taking away top spot in Category 2, maximising their points here. This doesn't translate to prize money at the end of the racing, whereas in that stage race it will. And Emma, I know you're really looking forward to that. You've been doing your homework and reading the road book reading the road book for that stage race. 5 days of racing.
Yes.
And it's going to be some great racing. There's 2 categories for the men, 2 categories for the women.
Yes.
And that means that we're going to have a lot of coverage, just like we do on the Sunday Race Club, of those riders.
Yeah, we are indeed. So there is indeed an elite women's race, an amateur women's race, an elite men's race, and an amateur men's race. And the registration is still open for that at the moment. Now, you need to head over to the events page on the MyWhoosh website, and you can take a look at the information. Now, it is indeed as rigorous as the Sunday Race Club, because it is indeed the Summer Championships, and there is a list of information about the type of approved smart trainer and heart rate monitor you need, your secondary power source, your video power passport test, and of course the rule set you need to agree to before you join that race. But Matt's right, 5 days of racing, and a real mixed 5 days. Really looking forward to it.
And it's not just citizens of the UAE. If Torsten Holst at the moment is living in the UAE as a resident, then he can also take part in that as well. So please, guys, make sure you go on there, see if you're eligible to race, because it's going to be a fantastic 5 days of racing. Really looking forward to that. And Emma and I will be putting words to the action. It's going to be frantic. Loved it when we did the MyWhoosh Championship, and I'm really looking forward to the MyWhoosh Championships, which are going to be the World Championships this year. Of course, the UCI partnering with MyWhoosh for 2024, 25, and 2026. And you can go ride those courses. We had the Flamme Rouge Racing event. I know lots of our riders in Category 3 and 4 were riding on that to see what the courses were like.
Well, people have been riding all over MyWhoosh in all different races and categories, and they can join for the future for a wide variety of activities. But right now, Right at this second, the 4 race categories on this course, on the Jebel in Arabia, are riding for the June final for the Sunday Race Cup. And you can take a look at this. Category 1 are at 12.5 kilometres, big group. Category 2, another big group at 15.6 kilometres into this race. Category 3 are still rolling, 21.9k. And Category 4, the push is on at the front. Luke Allport, Ben Kirk are both up there. The stretch is on because at 24.8, they're on the aquarium climb.
And that climb, all part of the course, so that will lead our riders to the finish. And at the finish, if they are in our top 5 individually, in each of our categories 4, 3, 2 and 1, they will be in the prize money. If they're in the top 5 teams, they will also be in the prize money. Now, that list as we go through. So let's pick top spot. If you're top spot in category 4, in the individual competition, 2,160 AED, 10,800 AED in the team competition. Remember, our qualifiers, it's only the individual classification. Move up to category 3, 3,600 AED for first, and for the team classification it's 18,000 AED for first place in category 3 in that team competition for your team. Now the prizes cascade downwards in terms of prize money. 18,000 for first, 1,800 for fifth in that team competition in category 3. In category 2, you can see it's 30,000 AED for first, down to 3,000 AED for fifth in the team competition. And in the individual classification, 6,000 AED for the win individually for that rider who takes top spot in category 2, right down to 1,200 for fifth. Now, if you think those prizes are big, that's nothing on category 1, because category 1, as our fastest riders, the top of the tree, well, it's a huge prize fund. First place in the individual classification, 10,000 AED, 8,000 for second, 6,000 for third, 4,000 for fourth, and 2,000 for fifth. Individually, the fifth fastest team will get 5,000 AED, the fourth fastest 10,000 AED, third fastest 20,000 AED, second fastest 30,000 AED, and the fastest team of 3 riders with their time added together. And we've heard already this can be separated by as little as fractions of a second. 50,000 AED. What a sum of money. Emma, that's a lot of money in AED. It's a lot of money anywhere in the world. Have we got Emma's exchange up and running, or has trading been suspended?
No, trading has not been suspended due to elections in any country at all, or even the racing on MyWhoosh. But we are going with Australian dollars.
Okay.
So I'm going to do something a little bit different. So we're going to talk about the team competition.
Yes.
So in category 4, the winning team will take away 10,800 AED.
Yep.
That is 4,393 Australian dollars.
Nice.
In category 3, 18,000 AED for the winning team, 7,322 Australian dollars.
Nicer.
In category 2, 30,000 AED equals 12,203 Australian dollars.
Nicer still.
And 50,000 AED, the winning team in category 1, walk away with 20,338 AED as of Emma's Exchange. Well, I'll tell you something, whilst we're talking about Emma's Exchange, the riders in category 2 have been motoring. Take a look and see what is happening there, Matt. That is an attack.
It is indeed. No surprises, though, to see Mandekowitz in amongst them. John Bruner answering that with Harvey, with Betty, with Mare. All these riders really going for it, but 3 riders off the front at the moment. Betty, Mare, Mandekowitz. But they have not got it their own way. Behind it, the group has split into 2 under the pressure of the racing. This is going to make life very difficult. If you are not in the leading group of riders, you can see that there is a gap of about 8 or 9 seconds back behind this group of riders who are leading out at the moment, and that is a big old gap. Caught on the wrong side of the gap, you've got people like Gates, Bjarhead, Walter. We've got a Bitco. Spratt is in no man's land. He needs to get back into the group. That's in category 2, left-hand side. Right-hand side,
This is got to be the top of the aquarium climb, if I'm not much mistaken. 27 kilometers covered. Over the top, category 4 go. The leading riders make the way over the top of the first of our climbs, picking up those climb points. And again, quick reminder, climb points are there. It's bragging rights. It's for the right to wear the jersey. If you are a golden boy, that means getting your own t-shirt and dotting some lipstick all over it to make it red or white polka dots. But however you want to race this, those points certainly give us an indication of who is flying. Category 4 over the top of the climb, Emma.
They are indeed 20 riders from Category 4 up and over the top of the aquarium climb. Ola Warren setting the fastest pace. Jax Rusanek, Joshua Callangad, Edison Gomez is in there as well. So this pack all rolling and rolling strongly. 20 of them in total. Ross Fawcett now on the screen, pushing on here in Category 2. We said the pace had heated up here, chasing Nicholas Spratt, Mendakowicz, Brune and Vanhee. They are 8 seconds up the road. These riders now really need to motor. They need to bring this back. Fawcett and Spratt in the same squad. They're part and parcel of that Hitman squad with Graves. He's with them too. So these riders now pushing on and pushing through, trying to bring that breakaway. Look at what it has done to that Category 2 pack on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. We've got riders now distance off the back, chasing the group on the front, and it is becoming frantic in Category 2 because they want to pull those riders back.
You cannot afford to let a group go, and once that group goes, if you miss it and there's a volume of riders off the front like this, there's a lot of work having to be done to pull it back. You can see the entire team there, Fawcett and Graves and Co, having to push to come through as we go on to this rolling section. They're just up on to the climb as they go up over the top. So they're going to go over this bridge and they're going to drop down again. Simmons it is at the moment who is doing the work here, but not everybody's even in the chase group. Never mind the leaders, there are bodies behind, and I just, with this ferocious pace, I just don't see, unless the two leading groups come together and they both sit up, you're not going to see a situation where those riders off the back are going to get back on again. And this is before we hit the yellow.
Well, I'll tell you something. This is the wattage riders, the wattage warlocks, the wattage warriors. They are some of the riders on the front here, absolutely dialing it. So, and the wattage wolves. This is a class attack going on here, absolutely motoring. So we've got Vanhee from the wattage warlocks, Mendakowicz from the wattage warriors, and Brune from the wattage wolves, all in that attack, and they're leaving it to the hitmen in Category 2 to do the chasing. Well, in Category 1, it's Ruben Dont who's gone off the front. You know, he did this the other week, Matt. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Dont, who's come up from Category 2 into Category 1, not frightened at all of putting the power down and really taking the racing to Category 1, and he's done it today. So Ruben Dont, part and parcel of the Spandex Spartans, with Don Wilson and Alan Jung pushing on the front here. He's 11 seconds clear. They are not taking much notice of him at the moment. They're at 18.2 kilometres into this race. They're coming up to the final sprint of the day before the aquarium climb. How long are they going to leave Don out there?
We've got to be careful. They need to be paying attention. You can't let these gaps go. Miss X100, right hand side of your screen here, interestingly, also being really attentive here to the screens because he's working to come back. We've got 3 distinct groups on the road here, basically, and he's trying to get across to the leading group. He's effectively bridged out from the second group on the road, and these 3 main groups, I think we're going to see a massive shuffle in Category 2. Category 1, not so much, because they've let Don go. And I think your point that you made about him going clear last time and this time, really, really important, because last time he did that, it kept him with the leading group all the way through. Moving up from Category 2 to Category 1, from the riders we see on our screen to Category 1, really, really tough stuff. Don has done that, and he's clearly got a tactic. If I go off the front, get myself some time in there. Now, you said, how long will they wait? Well, at the moment, it's 18 seconds. Ruben, if you are listening, mate, if you're going to go to, he is, there you go.
There he is, look at that.
There we go.
No,
come on,
keep
mate.
it going, keep it going.
Come on, keep going, mate.
if you keep this going, I tell you what, if you're at the World Cyclocross Championships this coming year, because I think I'm going to be there in person, please do come and see me. I'll buy you a drink, mate, because if you keep on doing this on Category 1, it makes my life much easier. This is brilliant to see.
No bribery of riders. So Don pushing on here. Jakobs and Kaminski doing the chasing with Van Elst and Pucker behind. But 19 seconds at the moment Ruben Don has here. And he is motoring. Phenomenal riding from Don. Take a look at that on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. You can hardly see the chase group behind.
Well, one of these days, it's a bit like the Tour de France. No spoilers here. But when you have a set of riders off the front, you're coming into a race finish and you're wondering if they're going to stay away. We're in that same situation now. Tour de France has started, the men's Tour de France, with the great action in that. Make sure you give it a watch. Brilliant racing in there. But as we said in the women's show, you can't watch any of that until you finish watching the Sunday Race Club. It's the rules. Now, Don at the front, going into the sprint here. This will give us a real good indicator of who's working, or in the case of the group behind, not working.
Kaminski, 1 watt per kilo.
What?
Knudsen, 0.5. I'll tell you something, that chase group are not interested at the moment. Don, 22 seconds. They are absolutely confident in their own ability, Matt, to close him down on the climb.
2 opportunities. We've got the aquarium climb, and then we have the main climb of the Jebel Yace at the moment at 23.8k. Mr. X100 just entering into the climb. He's going to just make contact with that leading group, but will he have done himself too much damage? He's chased on, and it's taken him to the base of the climb, of the aquarium climb, to get in with them. This means that he has been working harder than they have. Will he be able to stay there?
Well, the stretch on this Category 2 group is absolutely phenomenal. And the people are on the right side of this and on the wrong side of it. And one of the people on the wrong side of it is Linda Millerstick, the previous winner on this course in Category 2. 4 seconds back at the moment, and really having to dig deep to close down to get onto this group, because this leading group in Category 2 now are of a substantial size and are of a size that could well and truly stay away. So anybody wanting to get back into the mix in Category 2 needs to get back on now. They're at 24.3 kilometers into this race. This is the aquarium climb. It's 3.3 kilometers in length with an average gradient of 3%. At the moment, it's nearly 5. And there is Millerstick. Linden closing the gap to this group and getting back on to the rear of it. It's a big gap now back to the chasing group.
It is a Millerstick. I've been watching the watts per kilo there. You're talking about 6 watts per kilo plus all the way on that chase. He's absolutely had to nail it. He's put in an effort akin to putting in a massive attack on a climb, because he wasn't just sprinting, he was having to hold that pace. So difficult to do. Category 2 on to the aquarium climb. That group just reforming just slightly, that we're seeing on your screens. Right hand side of your screens, we have Category 4 on to the main climb of the day. This is the Jebel Yace. Ben Kirker with Mikkel van Hagen on the climb in the lead, with a slight gap back to West Kalangad, who we saw on our screens earlier. Alameda, Roy Pino. That is not a race winning move, I don't think, but look at the damage, Emma, behind these. This rider's a long way back.
Well, I was going to say Ben Kirk, Captain Kirk, leading the Starship Enterprise up the Jebel Yace, but he's leading Category 4. Well, he is now. He wasn't a minute ago, because Van Henningen is absolutely motoring as well. Brett McMurtry is there, Matteo Pino, Joshua Kalangad, all in the mix, and they are stretching that Category 4 group. They are on the Jebel Yace. It's 13.5 kilometers of climbing. This is the leading group in Category 3 as they go under the polka dot banner, signifying the start of the Jebel Yace. I say it's 13.5 kilometers. Well, it is till the final polka dot banner, signifying the end of the segment. It's then 500 meters to the checkered flag, and that is not a flat 500 meters. So 14 kilometers of climbing ahead of our Category 3 racers.
And a 1 or 2 riders already being distanced, but Hagland in here, Nicholas Hagland,
nicely in this leading group, working well at the moment. You can just see he's keeping really focused on that screen. He's keeping that rhythm going. Nice pedal cadence there, keeping it high, 95, 96, using his fitness, not needing to use the strength at the moment on this gradient. It goes up to 6-7% now increasing as we're on one of the slightly steeper steps. This first run in is steeper, and at the moment Hagland working well with this group, and you're seeing those riders who maybe haven't transitioned onto the climb as well being distanced. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 if not 6 riders immediately distanced off the back of this main group, and I'll be honest, it's going to be an absolutely unbelievable ride to get back in. If you're distanced on the first part, yes, it's long, but getting back is almost impossible. Not the case on the aquarium climb, because it is that little bit shorter. That's where our category 2 riders are, and at the moment it looks like Betty just trying to push on here to maybe just make people work a little bit harder, maybe not give enough recovery to people like Milostic who got on the back there, Emma. That would be a great tactic, wouldn't it, if you were on the front and you'd just been joined by somebody like the previous winner.
Yeah, and I bet that is indeed Betty's strategy at the moment from the Level Wizards, because he's going to want to continue to push on and not let the goats in the mix in the team competition.
So our riders in category 2 are off and on to the climb. The riders in category 1, well, you can see Ruben Don at the moment. He is solo on his own in category 1, and he's gone over the half-a-minute marker. How long do they give him? They're on to the aquarium climb.
How long do they give him? 1.2 is the watts per kilo on the front of the pack.
So just, well, I'm not sure. If you're a good climber, 13.5K, you can make a minute and a half, 2 minutes maybe. That's doable. That's surely doable. Would I give anybody 30 seconds to a minute? No, you wouldn't take that gamble. Why would you do that? You just wouldn't.
Well, the gamble being taken by the teams because they think they can bring Dont back. I think when Ollie Jones went out in January on this course for a breakaway, they thought they could bring him back, but they had teammates to protect his position, because Vuyasin, who finished second, is indeed a teammate of Ollie Jones. It's going to be interesting to see whether any of Dont's teammates can do any protecting of his position, or whether Coalition Alpha Jaw and Hard to Guard are really going to push on and try and bring him back.
We will see what happens in category 1. We'll come back to Ruben Dont at the moment. He is really working hard. Behind him, though, you can see that the rider's not working as hard. Here in category 2, in the green, we've got riders scattered all the way over the top here. This is a real spread on the descent. They've just come across one of the flatter sections on the descent, and that is where you start to find things getting difficult on the way down. But on the way up, you can see Kaminsky again. We have hit the climb. Kaminsky, though, is not at the front of affairs. Jacobs is leading the chase. Then it's Kaminsky. They've taken 10 seconds out of Dont already. Now, Dont is sitting at a pace. He's gone in and he's set a pace that he carried into the climb, and he's continued up. Dont's still holding 4.5 or so watts per kilo. He's sitting at that same pace. He's going to be more comfortable sitting at that. He doesn't need to yo-yo up and down, answering the pace that's been set by other people. We're seeing the numbers bounce up and down here. Kaminsky 4.5, 6 watts per kilo, 3 watts per kilo. It's yo-yoing. Just seen a 1.9 there as the riders just want to modulate the pace. They don't want to put too much effort in now, because they use the same muscles they're going to use when they go climb up the Jebel Yace. It's basically a very, very similar long gradual climb. And I think here it's playing into Dont's hand. Dont is ignoring all this. He's riding his race. He's sitting at his pace, and he's not having to answer attacks. He's not expending energy doing what somebody else wants him to do.
Well, doing what somebody else wants him to do is not what he's doing, and he's out of sight at the moment. So Dont still at 20 seconds. Osborne, Martins, Mayer, Barnes, Thiem, Talbot, Vuyasin, all in this chase group. So is Pucker. really is the rest of the pack, bar 1 or 2 riders who have been distanced from the start, and 28 riders took to the start in this category 1 race. We've got one rider off the front and a chasing group. The chasing group still, well, they're still letting him go. He's out of sight.
He came in with 30 seconds. It dropped to 20 when we saw a push from Arne Jacobs, which was then being answered by Kaminski, and the riders set a little bit of a pace. But their pace has backed off once again. So their pace was really, really strong. The pace was really, really tough at the start. They then got that group pulled back, and they've settled down, but they're settled down to a similar pace that Dont is doing. And that's why Dont's gap is still staying the same. It went down to 20. It was at 18. It's not really coming back. Although this is quick, isn't it? 33 kilometers, 32 kilometers an hour. There is still draft available. It will still be of benefit. So in the group, you are doing less work. Dont at the moment, 15 seconds. I think he's going to go over the top of the climb. Remember, the top of this climb comes at 27 kilometers. Dont at the moment is 700 meters off the top. He's already picked up the sprint jersey, and he's going to take that way because we've had every one of our sprints, and Dont is going to take that. He's going to not get the points though for the fastest climb here, is he? Because the gap has come down on the climb.
The gap has come down, which indicates the group behind are moving quicker. And let's bear in mind, when they get to the top of the aquarium climb, there's 4 kilometers of downhill and flat before they roll into the base of the Jebel. And that is 14 kilometers of climbing to the checkered flag. So Ruben Dont, fabulous job he's done in terms of making these riders work and making these riders chase, and having his moment right off the front of this category 1 race. I don't think he is going to be out front by the time they get to the Jebel. He might not be out front by the time they get to the polka dot banner, but I'm willing him to the top of this aquarium climb, to the top of the polka dot banner. You can just see it there on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen around this right-hand bend. Is he going to be able to get under that banner first and take the top of the aquarium climb? It would be just reward.
It would, but Nico's coming. He's gone behind him, so Dont goes over, but he's not going to take the time. Nico's going to have the fastest time. David Nico goes over the top. He kicked clear of the bunch there. We saw him ramp it up. He kicked out a big Watts. He goes through. He has got the fastest time up there, surely, because he's gone through not just with the bunch who were chasing fastest. He kicked clear of the top, and he's reflected in his time. He's some 1.5 seconds clear of the nearest challenger. That's Jakob Björklund. So Nico in 1, Björklund in 2, and Knudsen in 3, Tolbert in 4, Justin in 5, Jacobs in 6. In fact, all of that group are going to be faster than Dont.
Well, I'm just taking a little look for Ruben Dont on the list at the moment. Dont coming through in 55th position, behind a significant number of the category 2 riders as well. But it does tell me there are 25 riders in that leading group, including Ruben Dont, because they are about to sweep him up. So 25 riders confirmed at the front of category 1, at coming up for 28 kilometers into this race.
So category 1 now on the descent of the first of our categorized climbs from the aquarium climb. They're going to drop down the summit of the aquarium climb at 27 kilometers. At 31k, that's the start of our climbing segment on to the Jebel Yates. So a 4 kilometer descent and transition. A bit further down the road there, you can see that category 2, they are on to the climb at 31.8k. At 34.9k, category 3 leaders, Oviedo, Seur and Rodriguez at the moment, with a little bit of a gap on the group. Category 4, Ben Kirk and Michael Van Hanegem have extended their lead. It's 22 seconds to Kalanga, to Edwards, to Allport, to West, McMurtry. They're the riders chasing, nearly half a minute behind. Then the only riders that we haven't name checked in terms of lead is Josiah Betty. Betty
Well, he is at the front at the moment. He's at 32k in. Let's take a look at the course profile, because that is going to give us an indication of where our riders are relative to that finish. Remember, this is a 45-kilometer race in total. We're going to focus on the red wedge at the right-hand side of the screen. The climb itself here, Emma, it's a very long climb. The average gradient is 6%, but that doesn't really tell you what happens at the bottom of the climb, even if the top of it is very, very steady.
Yeah, the top of it is indeed very, very steady. And as you can see at the bottom of that climb, so coming at 31 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race, it's bumpy. And it's bumpy because we've got steeper sections and then flatter sections, and then a steep kick and then a flat and then a steep kick and then a flat. And it does that early on for about the first third of this climb of the Jebel, and then we see quite a steady climb, but an average gradient of 6%, categorized as a Hort category climb. It is one of the hardest climbs on the Sunday Race Club. The 997 meters of climbing in this course overall, 763 meters of that is on this climb, the Jebel. Yes, it is a phenomenal climb on the Sunday Race Club, and it's going to take a phenomenal rider to win at the top.
Well, will it be Ruben Dunn? He's already shown that he's prepared to risk it all and go on the attack. I think at the moment it's going to be recovery for him. I have to say, after putting in that effort, I'm not sure he's going to be able to hang with the big guns once they start firing on the final climb. We are a little way off it, but not very far, because it starts at 31 kilometers, so only a matter of hundreds of meters now for Category 1 to hit the base of the climb. The Category 2 leaders, they are further up the road at 33k. They are 2k into the climb, and that leading group have come back together again pretty much. It looks to me like this really is a who's who of the riders that we would expect to be there, and I have to say, I think this is going to be really hard, because all these riders will want to be in the top 5. They'll all want to take the win. They all know that they are strong. And because the gradient, once you go over the first half of the Jebel Hafid, is basically the same, it becomes a pure power to weight. It's purely about whether you can make that move. Can you catch somebody napping, get a little bit of a gap? We saw that happen in the women's race. Riders sprinting away, getting a gap, but then just maintaining that gap. And that is a really good tactic if you have the strength to hold off the chasers and answer whatever they then throw at you. Let's see, will we see a lone attack? We're on the climb. It's Category 1.
Well, it is indeed Category 1, and they are our final group of racers today on to the Jebel Hafid. They've just gone underneath that polka dot banner.
So the riders on to the climb here. It is going to be all action. Let's see who will take this out. The riders are in Category 1 on the way up. They are moving at the moment. Let's see if they can stay clear of anybody who's coming behind. It is going to be an absolute frantic finish to this as they go up on to the top. But it's a long way. Emma, this group here, we're already seeing one or two riders struggling to stay on the pace here. This surely is playing into the hands of the big teams with the real big favourites, people like Osborne, like Knudsen, like Vajassin, like Kaminsky.
Well, is it? I don't know. They are definitely the
You think not?
Well, they are definitely the riders on form, but I think it's going to be really interesting in Category 1. Category 2 at the moment is also really interesting, because X100 is the rider on the front here pushing on. Krasnich, Ospina, Bengston, Quinston are all there as well, and interesting to see X100 really pushing in the earlier stages of this climb. They're coming up 34 kilometers into this race, so they've still got 11k to go. And if I look through the team competition in Category 2, we've got 3 level wizards, we've got 2 hitmen, we've got a goat, we've got a UAE clan team, we've got a wattage wolf and a what's up. All those riders are pretty much in this stretched leading group.
So of those riders, Anders Bengtsson, the rider on your screen,
at the moment out of the saddle here, kicking, keeping that power going down through the pedals. Bankston of the level wizards wanting to be up into this mix, but with such a mix of teams in here, I think it's going to make it very difficult if you are answering attacks or you are attacking. I think the tactic there by Mistakes 100 probably the right one for him, because he's not going to have a teammate around him. He needs to set a pace that he's comfortable at, that keeps it hard all the way. He won't want this pace yo-yoing.
Well, I agree with you. He won't want this pace yo-yoing because he is a consummate time trialer. But in the other teams, they are going to want to put as much time in as possible. So I think we're going to see an attack in Category 2. Who that attack comes from is going to be really interesting. But I think there is going to be an attack because someone is going to want to put some significant time in to allow the team competition to play out.
And I'm just taking a look at the screens here. We did have Ben Kirk and Van Hagen together in Category 4. Kirk is up there. Van Hagen has tumbled down the rankings. He's down in about 7th or 8th position, if not more. He's in 5th position here. He's lost 17 seconds to Kirk. West, Pino and McMurtry have pulled him back onto the climb. That's in Category 4, right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side of your screen, Ivo Sure at the moment with a fractional gap over Oviedo and Rodriguez. They're on his heels, though, here. So that is by no means a done deal. But certainly Kansara at 3 seconds. He's got his work cut out to get back. And I think Chkov sitting at 40 seconds, that's maybe too much to ask.
Well, it is indeed phenomenal climbing at the moment. So 4 riders in Category 3 pushing on and working hard. We can see Jose Oviedo out on the balcony at the moment, really working hard to stay on this climb. 37.8 kilometers into this 45 kilometer race. This is now the crucial part of this today. Can he stay with these 4 riders? Can he get a top 5 finish? Will his team come to the fore? Riding for the South American squad, Kirchner, Angarito and Moreno, his teammates. Well, seeing how this goes today.
They're onto the climb. We're on that slight changes of gradient, making his way up here. We are starting to catch Category 4 riders. Rodriguez, Sur and Oviedo in this group of 3. We've got Kansara just yo-yoing behind. He's only a few seconds off. He might be able to use the group coming together here to his advantage. He has. So Kansara has made 3, now 4 riders from Category 3 working the way in and through. They've just gone past Ola Warren there, the Category 4 point scorer who took those points on the aquarium climb. He's not going to score the big points, so I think here on the Jebel Yace.
Well, the 4 riders in Category 3 continuing to climb strongly. One of the things that's really interesting, Matt, is all 4 of the leaders in Category 3 from 4 different teams. Big chase group behind. So those 4 riders who are away have got to try and get as much time as possible to help their teammates who are in that chase group, because otherwise, well, it's going to be a hard-fought battle for that team competition. Now, Ben Kirk, he's got a battle royale on behind because 20 seconds back down the mountain. Taking a look on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can see that red jerseys. It's a big group of Category 4 riders chasing the lone leader, Ben Kirk, up the Jebel Yace. Category 1, well, we've already talked about those 4 riders leading the charge there. Category 2, they are strung out in one huge long line behind Betty, Krasnich, Millerstick, Bankston, Graves, Ospina. Take a look at that on the bottom left-hand corner of that screen in that Category 2 race. Category 1, they are starting to get strung out on the mountainside with Yassin, Knudsen, Jones, Osborne, Pucker, Safra, Zaidi, Kaminsky, Tolbot, Wilson, Paradians, Nair. I can see them all in the same group. Panizza and Vidal Mare seem to be now the riders getting distanced off the back.
It is really interesting. The moves being made in category 1, 2, 3, and 4. Category 2 move being made here. Looks like Mr. X100 on the move again, using the steering function to break the draft from the other riders, going on the offensive. The pace had dropped. He wants to pick it up. He wants to keep it hard. He's pushing again. 5.3, 5.5 watts per kilo. Linda Milostic, I think, will be the first to react. Just seeing him the nearest rider, but although he's lifted his power, he has not kicked on here, and I think the way that we're going to see this play out, if Mr. X100 continues to keep the pressure on, it's going to start doing damage. So there's lots and lots of riders who can ride by kicking harder, then taking a bit of a breather, then kick again, take a bit of a breather. It's much harder to sit at a consistent pace and use that effort to the maximum non-stop from the base of this climb to the top. 31 kilometers the start of this climb. We're climbing all the way to the summit of 45k. That's a heck of a long way to sit at one pace, but some riders can do that. Category 1, I don't think you can play that tactic, can you? You just got to be able to react, because everybody here has pretty much all of the tools in the toolbox. They basically can pull out what they want. Time trial, attack, kick, recover. They're consummate at all.
Well, the 14 riders were in the leading group in category 1. And I'm saying were because the push is coming on the front of that group as they continue to move. And you can see 1, 2, 3 riders now getting distance off the back of the group. So the group getting smaller with 10 kilometers to go. And the riders at the front of the group doing the work. Jacobs, Knudsen, Vujasin, Van Elst. Osborne is up there, so is Talbot. Safra Zaidi and Plantero are in the mix. Arnie Jacobs is the rider on the front, so being drilled at the moment by Coalition Alpha Jaw riders, but Hard to Guard are in the mix as well. Van Elst right up there, so is Osborne. This is going to be a phenomenal race in the team competition as well as in the individual competition in category 1. Pucker is still in the mix. Hayden Pucker from the Honey Stingers. I've seen Mikel Plantero still in the mix from the Velociraptor squad. But this is category 2 and we're back in with X100. And this is a smaller group as well, because I'm taking a look at the bottom corner of the screen. We've got a tight, small group, then a gap, then a bigger group, then a gap, then group 3 on the road is large as well. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 riders. It looks like in this leading group in category 2.
Category 2, Mr. X100's pace there being answered. Betty going up to 6.5 kilo to answer it. In an attack off the front now, Michael Knudsen has gone on and he's being answered here by Jacobs. Jacobs, the rider riding for the Alpha Jaw. Knudsen riding for Hard to Guard. So Hard to Guard starting to send men up the road in the shape of Michael Knudsen. Knudsen continuing to push it over 7 watts per kilo. This is going to provoke a response. Surely Ollie Jones now starting to wind up for the Alpha Jaw squad. Van Elst is there. You can see Safra Zaidi marking this out. So is Osborne. They are teammates of Knudsen, and at the moment they will be sitting in the wheels, making sure that they are in position to mark out the positions taken by Coalition Alpha Jaw. They know that the team competition could come down quite literally to a matter of fractions of a second. They're going to need to be in position. So 4 categories underway. Category 1, Category 2, 3 and 4 on the climbs. Category 4, the furthest up the road, Ben Kirk passing the 40-kilometer marker. He's at 40.8. The leaders in category have just gone past that 40k marker. They're at 40.1, led by Nickel Kansara. That's bottom left hand side of your screen. 37.9k for the riders at the front of category 2. That's Bengston and Mr. X100. They're being chased though, and that group is right on their heels. And category 1, 36.5 kilometers. Well, the leaders, they are yo-yoing around. Knudsen at the moment has got Van Elst and Jones as a company. They keep on bouncing around him. He's still setting a pace here.
He is indeed. So Knudsen, Van Elst, Jones, Safra Zaidi, Plantero, Talbot, Oh, it's starting to get seconds now in the
Just
gap.
breaking,
It's just
isn't it?
starting to break. Oh, the push is on here. So this is category 1. This is the June final on the Sunday Race Club. The men are in Arabia on the Jebel Yace, and they are coming up for 37 kilometers of this race complete. So Safra Zaidi, Tolbert, Osborne, Jacobs, Martins hanging on. Vuyasin is there. Paradian's now gone. So has Pucker.
The gaps really have opened up now behind the leaders here, but it's coming back together. You can see riders pushing on here. Anybody who is not in this lead group now is not going to be in the top 5 of the race individually. They might be in the top 5 teams, though, because this is not 15 riders yet. Even if we had 3 per team, and we haven't, we have got some teams with big representation, some with much less. Every single rider's ride is going to count today. Remember, top 5 teams into the prize money. We've got 9 riders up at the front of the race, and at the moment, this is a real mix of riders. Great to see David Talbot of the United States in the mix here. Talbot is a rider who we are expecting to score a big win. It could be his day today. He may have to give best. Interestingly, though, here, Emma, Kaminsky, Vujasin.
Yes.
Not names we've been saying much of recently.
Well, you know, you've got to keep your powder dry.
Well, is that the case? We've got Vujasin off the back of the group.
Wow.
Off the back of the group. He's chasing Talbot at the moment.
You can't be on form for 12 months of the year. And these riders have been on form. They've been on phenomenal form in the early part of this year. March, April, phenomenal form. May, phenomenal form. But at some point, these riders are going to start focusing on the World Championships in October, and they are going to drop their form and they are going to start training for the qualifiers and the semi-finals should they be selected. And it's highly likely that a lot of the riders we're seeing in Cat 1 will be selected for those semi-finals in early September, and that will be their priority because they have to be in the top 20 in those semi-finals in September to make the final in October.
Well, let's see if that's going to play out. Certainly a number of the faces we'd expect to be there not in the mix in category 1 at this stage. It may well be that heavy training that Emma's talking about just taking its toll on the riders' legs. They've not recovered. They're not on peak form at the moment. You need to be on peak form to be at the front of all of our categories if you're racing in them. Category 2 at the moment, we're in with Tattoo Koiston, who's trying to close down on Gray. You've got Bjarheb, Nolostic, Peter Andlinden in front. You've got Bankston, you've got Betty, but this group is coming together. They're closing in on Mr. X100, who is on the very front at the moment, just out of the saddle. He's got Betty for company. They are going to set the pace up on to this slightly flatter section. It eases a little as you come around this left-hand bend. It's not much, but every little bit helps. That it drops about 2% here, and then it kicks again. This little bit of a respite might well be helping them, as once again Michael Knudsen stretches his legs again, and Jones is left to chase. Jones with that blue cap immediately behind, so you've got Knudsen in the lead with the shaven head. Then you've got Jones with the blue cap. You've got Van Elst with the black helmet there, Plantero with the white helmet behind. They're the nearest riders. Then it's Osborne, then it's Safrazeni, then it's Martin Martins, and you can see Cameron Dadson there giving these riders a salute as they come flying past him. He knows it's bound to be on TV time. He's not wrong there as they make their way up here. They're at 38.5k. They're chasing Ben Cook. I'm not sure they're going to pull him back here. Ben Cook is setting a fantastic pace on the front. Behind him, Caligag, Pino, Edwards, Roy, McMurtry, West. There's still plenty of bodies in category 4. Michael Van Herding, the rider just in front of Nicol Cansara, he's leading category 3. He has a 12-second gap to Oviedo, a 13-second gap to Rodriguez. It's about the same to Sure. Then it's a big gap a minute down the road to Kirchner, and then we go to category 2.
Betty and X100 again setting the pace. I think both these riders just want to make it hard.
Well, they do indeed, and Betty and X100 working really hard. It's a group of 8 Category 2 riders in that leading group, and look at that pink Largo go. I've got bike envy.
Maybe one day.
Well,
maybe one day you'll have a pink Colnago.
Well, you never know, but if I can ride it like X100 is up here, I will be a very happy racer. And X100 pushing on with Betty and Millerstick and Bengston. They are all back together again. In fact, Peter is the rider. Peter Millerstick is the rider up the front here. Lyndon is the rider being gapped back. He's already closed that gap once. Can he close the gap again? It's 3 seconds at the moment, but boy is he working hard at 6.8 watts per kilo, wanting to bring the gap back.
So our riders on the climb, a long train of Category 3 and 4 riders in front into the hairpin turn, whether they come back on themselves up above where the riders are, down literally up above the ridge line. On the left of the riders, Mr. X100, that white helmet, the red stripes down the side of the Ekoi helmet, out of the saddle, kicking on down on those pedals. Behind him, you can see Bengston, Millerstick and Betty, the riders who are fighting for position. Graves is still in the mix. It's not all over yet in Category 2. It might be all over in Category 1 because Ben Cook has 2K to go. He's got 25 seconds on Justin Roy in second. He's got nearly 30 seconds on Kalangad and McMurtry and Pino. And then it is going to be over a minute back to West, the rider sitting in 7th place overall at the moment, but number 1 in Category 4, the fastest rider so far up the climb, but he is being caught back, is Ben Kirk. He set off first onto the climb in Category 4. In Category 1, Stefan Van Els now has decided, well, anything you can do, I can do better, Mr. Knudsen. His teammate now sitting in the wheels, and Van Elst is now starting to wind this up. Jones again having to answer this for the Coalition Alpha Jaw squad. And interestingly, it's Jones leading the Coalition Alpha Jaw team in this group. Looking back down that group of what is essentially 6 riders, Emma, we're going to see I think we're going to see a less familiar face, let's say, on the top step. Could we see the return of Jason Osborne to the top step of the podium?
Well, there is a question because it's Van Elst, Osborne, Jones, Plantero, Safra, Zadie and Knudsen. Jacobs now distanced off the group. So is Tolbert, so is Vujasin. And where is Kaminsky? Because I cannot see him.
Stop for a coffee.
Well, if Kaminsky's stopping for a coffee, the world has ended on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Cup. But all credit to Stefan Van Els, Syed Safra Zadie, Michael Knudsen and Jason Osborne from Hard to Guard. Mikael Plantero is having a phenomenal month on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Cup. Fabulous to see. And Ollie Jones obviously likes this course. We told you he won back in January on this course. Well, is he going to win today? He's in the mix.
In the mix, but not solo, which is what we saw before. We do have 2 solo leaders. That's Ben Kirk and Nicol Cansara. They're on the bottom of your screen now, pulling up into the centre. Ben Kirk leading the race overall at the moment. He's a Category 4 rider. He has 22 seconds to Pino. He's clear at the front. Roy being brought back by Pino, by Edwards, and I think Kalangad is not far off his heels as well. Cansara, he has a gap. It's only a small gap to Oviedo. That's 15 seconds to Oviedo, to Stewart, to West. These gaps are not definitive. It's not all over. You've got to remember, when we're on a climb, the distances take so much longer to go. If we're doing 60 kilometers an hour, we're going to be covering a kilometre a minute. Simple maths. Even I can manage that one. If we're doing 10 kilometers an hour, and we are on some of these steep sections, it's going to take us a long time to cover that kilometre. It's going to take us 6 minutes. It's going to be a long, long time. So you can see, once you're on the climb, you're in there. Now, if you're on form, if you're going well, you're going to keep that pace up. But hit the red zone, get into the bonk, go cramp up. Any of these physical conditions that are caused by going over the limit physically, one way or another, you're going to hemorrhage time. You're not just going to lose seconds. You're going to lose minutes. We've seen that. I mean, we've seen riders already getting the pacing wrong and go backwards. Let's see if our 2 solo leaders can get that. And can anybody go solo? It may, in fact, be 3 solo leaders. Top left-hand side. Is Osborne going to be able to close down the gap to Knudsen? Knudsen has gone again.
Knudsen and Osborne are on the same team, and it's Michael Knudsen who's gone up the road. So is this the return of Michael Knudsen to the top spot on the Sunday Race Club? He has got, well, what has he got? He's got 3.8 kilometres to go, and the push is on from behind, and it's Osborne, his teammate, who's going with him. Safrazadi is another teammate of his. So is Van Elst. The first 4 riders at the moment, all from the Hard to Guard squad. Hard to guard today.
Hard to guard and impossible to guard against, because it could be that they're going to take all top 4 spots. We've got in category 2 that battle still continuing between our groups of riders. Milostic, X100, Coyson, Betty and co. But the first rider to reach the polka dot banner is going to be Ben Kirk. He goes underneath. He's going to set the fastest time, but it's only going to last as long as he can stay clear of the riders, because I think behind all of the leaders in each of the race categories are going to find themselves moving up in terms of fastest time. Kirk takes the green jersey. He takes the polka dot jersey. Can he add the yellow jersey to that as race winner? 30 seconds, 400 meters should be doable. Kansara, he's clear at the moment. He doesn't have 30 seconds. He's got 20. He has got 600 meters to go. He is going to approach the polka dot banner on the left-hand side of your screen. But this is all about getting to the line from the polka dot banner and maintaining your gap or increasing it and not letting the riders come back. Kirk goes through first. Then it's Kansara, polka dot to green. Both riders have them. Which rider's going to hit the line first?
Well, Ben Kirk moving up. He's moving towards the finish line. He's got 200 metres to go. He's going to swing around the right-hand corner, and then he's going to see the UCI banner indicating the finish line of the race. Robert Edwards is in 16 seconds back, but Ben Kirk, Captain Kirk, he's nicknamed. He's captained Category 4 to the finish line today. Ben Kirk is going to take the win in Category 4. He's going to be the first rider over the line on the Sunday Race Club June final. Ben Kirk is your winner today in Category 4.
Well, a salute Captain Kirk as he comes over the line. Great riding by him. He's cleared the chase behind his second place.
Well, Robert Edwards comes in for 2, being chased hard by Matteo Pino and Justin Roy. But Edwards taking second spot today in Category 4. Pino taking third. Great racing from them in Category 4. Justin Roy now coming in. Thick and fast these riders are coming over the line. So Justin Roy coming through for 4th place today. Nico Kansara, he's the leader in Category 3. He's going to take the win today in Category 3 on the Sunday Race Club. Oviedo closing the gap down on Kansara is going to take second place in Category 3. Ivo Sur looks like he's going to take third. There he is indeed, just coming up to the UCI banner. So Ivo Sur taking third place today in Category 3. Jose Rodriguez is the rider chasing behind for 4th.
So the riders coming through incredibly quickly at the top, and you can see that slight reduction in the gradient. They're really speeding the riders up now. Category 2, right-hand side, Betty Milostic just clear of Mr. X100, who's right on the heels, and he's closing down hard. You've got Milostic in the mix as well. Left-hand side of your screen, Jason Osborne has gone over the top of Michael Knudsen, and he's put 3 seconds into him. They're at 42.9k. Well, Osborne is, because he's leading. It's a substantial gap. And these two have blown their teammates out along with the rest of the race field. Category 1's frantic. Category 2, though, really close here. This is going to be intriguing. Linda Milostic, the previous winner here, now on the move. Can Mr. X100, can Giselle Betty do anything about him?
Well, they are chasing and they are chasing hard, but they've got 1.1 kilometres to catch. So 1,100 metres for Lyndon Millerstick to push on and not get caught. Well, he's got 3 seconds now on X100, 5 seconds on Betty, 6 seconds on Bengston, 6 seconds on Peter Millerstick as well. But these riders now really pushing on, and it's Jose Ricardo Betty who is pushing on the hardest at 6.7 watts per kilo. He wants to close that gap down to the young rider. X100 sitting on his wheel, close attention being paid, and the two of them, well, they are closing the gap down on the category 2 leader at the moment.
So this is where it's going to come down to who's got anything left in their legs. Betty just drops off the pace a little, miss. X100 over 8 watts per kilo at points here, trying to close down Millerstick. Millerstick kicks again. You can see he's gone into the red zone. He almost got caught. They were right on his heels. He's kicked again. He's got something left in the tank. We're at 700 now, 600 meters to go. Is this it? Can they do anything behind Betty? And Mr. X100 are trying to chase him, and we're only just coming up to the banner. He's got to hold it 500 meters beyond this gantry. That is going to be a big ask. He goes through first. He's the fastest rider up underneath the banner in category 2 for the climb segment, but my goodness, he's got his work cut out because they're not giving up behind.
Well, they're not indeed, and has he gone too early? Did that 700 metres to go kick take too much out of him? Can he hold this to the finish line? Lyndon Millerstick is the rider in 1, X100's doing the chasing. Betty is in 3, Bengston is in 4, but there's only 8 seconds separation. The top 4 riders here in category 2 at the top of the Jebel, and it's not all over yet. Lyndon Millerstick will indeed wish that it was, but they've got to go round the right hand corner, and the chase is coming on from behind. His avatar looks over his shoulder and he thinks he is clear at the moment. Well, I think he might be correct, because with 200 metres to go, the gap now back to 6 seconds. So Lyndon Millerstick is the rider who sees the UCI banner first. This is category 2. This is the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club June final for 2024. Your winner today in category 2, Lyndon Millerstick. It is a chase on behind for the finish, though, because they are coming in thick and fast in category 2. And it's Bengston from Betty from X100, 2, 3 and 4.
And look at this, already into the polka dot banner for the end of the climb segment. It is Jason Osborne, the man who has taken medals at the Olympics in rowing. Well, he's been on the top step of the podium before on the Sunday Race Club. He's got a long history of riding with us. He spent a long time on the UAE clan team, and he is back to his best. Is he peaking at just the right time for the run into the Worlds? Osborne has got the gap, and at the moment we're looking for the next rider. 14 seconds to Michael Knudsen. That is phenomenal.
Well, Osborne is putting in the time gap at the moment to help his teammates in the team competition, and he's doing a phenomenal job at that. He's going to swing round the right-hand corner. He's going to see that UCI banner. That's the finish line for the Sunday Race Club June final. Jason Osborne has broken away from the Category 1 pack. Your winner today in Category 1, Jason Osborne. Well, Jason Osborne comes across the line in 1. His teammate from the Hard to Guard squad, Michael Knudsen, coming up the climb. There he is in the polka dot skin suit at the moment in Category 1, signifying the fastest climb. Teammate Said Safrazadi in 3 further back down the mountain. So it's looking like Hard to Guard in 1, 2 and 3. Michael Knudsen coming across the line in 2nd place. Said Safrazadi is the rider with Ollie Jones. In fact, Ollie Jones coming up and over the top for 3rd place. Said Safrazadi in 4th today, right on the line.
Well, Emma predicted it would be close as we came into the top here.
These are your individual positions in Category 1. It's Jason Osborne in 1, Michael Nussen in 2, Ollie Jones in 3, Cesar Frazzetti in 4, Stefan Van Elst in 5, and Michael Plantero in 6. Emma, I'm sure, is looking at the team competition at the moment to try and find exactly who has taken our team competitions. Emma, have we got it?
Well, currently Hard to Guard in 1st, 2nd and 4th and 5th look as though they may well have taken the team competition in Category 1, but what I was looking at is a team competition in Category 2, because at the moment the Level Wizards have it with Bengston, Betty and Koinstonen, but 43 seconds behind them. Middlestick, Bjarhead and Ken are over the line as well.
So it's going to be about seconds. It's about those third counters. If you're still out there, keep on pushing. Keep pushing to line. Every single second counts for your team. Well, the seconds are running down towards the end of our show. I've got to say a massive thank you to all of our riders for putting on a fantastic show here today. Don't forget, we are going to be kicking everything back off once again as we start with qualifier race number 1 for July next week. But after that, we're going to be having the GCC Summer Championships coming to you, as well as the Sunday Race Club all the way through the month. So please do join us for that. A big thank you to the team behind the scenes for making this happen, to the people behind MyWhoosh and all the platform, and of course the broadcast as well. But time for me to say I'm going for ice cream, coffee, and I'm going to go watch to see if Tadej Pogacar can improve on yesterday's race position, because I'm not going to give you any spoilers where he was yesterday in the racing for the UAE team on the Tour de France. So lots of action coming up. We are going to be back shortly, but from Emma, from me and all of the team, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.